Okay, and we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 10th episode of Women of Color and Confidence. I am your host, Amber Rose. Thank you so much for joining me. And today we are joined by Michanne Bohanon. We were just talking about how great her name is before we hopped on together. We are going to be talking about creating financial literacy within Black families. I'm really excited to talk about this idea of generational wealth that has been robbed from Black families for far too long, especially with the holidays coming up. Being smart about our money and knowing how to take control and care of our finances is really important. So super excited to get into this chat. Thank you so much for joining me, Michanne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Do you want to take a minute and introduce yourself outside of what I've already shared to everybody that's listening today?
Sure. So again, Amber, thank you. My name is Michanne. I live in California, born and raised in the Bay Area, actually, where the Raiders used to play. And I am now a financial consultant. I've been doing this for the last 2 years, just kind of changing the mindset of the individuals that I come across. And I'm super excited that I've, found this platform to be able to just kind of share with others. So
yes, that is so wonderful. I want to talk. I want the meat of our conversation today to be about what you do now. But I want to take a step back for a second and talk to you about, well, one, just your confidence in general. The show is about confidence, and so what was it like? I know you were the oldest child of 3. So what was your confidence like growing up?
I can just remember back in elementary school, like having friends, but always in the back of the mind, just not feeling, I guess, like too sure of myself. I just remember, definitely being the overweight kid, chunky, kind of getting picked on because of that. And that kind of went all the way up until high school, actually. So just, yeah, that aspect of not really having the confidence to stick up for myself and, tell them to kind of knock off, the
Right.
name calling and things like that. That was kind of the norm back then. So
I remember it. I remember it well. And I love that you've taken this journey to creating your own business. What were the steps or things that you did in your growing up into adulthood that helped you raise the vibration of your confidence to do something like start your own business?
I just knew that I didn't have that growing up, just like the tools to be a self-starter as far as like an entrepreneur. I also have a 9-to-5 currently, working for social services for the county. And because I was living in the Bay Area, I just was living, the paycheck to paycheck, having the overdraft fees, always paying. I needed something else. And I just had to have that mindset that I wanted something, in addition to, what I already had. Like you can have that entrepreneurial mindset. And if it's not taught to you, that's something that you can, if it's not taught by your family, there's resources out there to definitely help you with that. So I just knew that it was going to be a good fit for me to be able to come into this business, and business for myself, to be able to just have my little one. I have a daughter, have her look to me and just see that, because I didn't experience that growing up.
Yeah. So it was simultaneously like a passion for what you were doing, but also making sure that you were setting a good example for your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
beautiful. I love it. So how did you get into the industry itself? Like, where did your interest first pick up where you were like, I like this. I want to go check on this.
So I knew I needed another stream of income, but I knew that I didn't want to get another 9 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually just scrolling on Facebook, and a friend of mine was actually posting about the services that we offer and also the business opportunity. And um, it didn't really catch me right away, but I was so supportive with her. I just was, reposting and tagging people on her page who I thought could benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
And she let me know that people that, my referrals are actually wanting to partner with her and get started. And she asked, if do you want to basically get paid for your referrals? And I'm thinking, yeah, why not? I'm referring people to places all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Why not add this onto what I'm already doing to be able to help, other people. So I kind of just fell into it by helping, my friend promote her business.
Mm-hmm.
And I got started August of 2018, and have been able to help a lot of people, since I got started. So it just kind of fell in my lap, just scrolling social media.
That's so cool. I love how social media has definitely brought people from all these different places together. And really just one of the things I really love about social media is this idea of entrepreneurship and opportunity. That would you have gotten this opportunity if you were just like walking down the street one day, and would you have listened if someone like handed you a flyer or something? Social media really allows these doors to open. Um, that's so awesome. Okay, so I remember when we were having our chat before our interview, there was this talk about financial education and financial literacy. Can you kind of break down just a couple of points of what that actually is? Like, what does that look like to someone who's like, I would like to be more educated on finances? Like, what are the first couple steps that you offer people when they come to you?
Yeah, so we offer an actual protection plan membership. So our whole meat and potatoes is we're a financial literacy company. So we want our clients to be educated, so they're not repeat offenders. They don't come back to us with the same issues.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually teaching our clients, how to budget, because I know that's not something that's taught in school. So, how to budget your finances, that you have X amount of money coming in each month, but where is your money actually going? So if you sit down and create your monthly budget, you can plan, and help you in the long run with savings, and then also paying off the debts that you currently have. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a big, big tool that I know for sure that I use, is the budgeting, and then our debt payoff system that we actually have. So our clients, they'll
Oh,
get access to this online to be able to track everything. And we have quizzes and tips just to kind of educate, individuals that come to us so they can learn more.
I didn't even think about like a debt plan, debt pay down plan. Yes, that makes so much sense. And I have to be honest with you, I, for a very long time, have been attempting to figure out a budget. And I even bought like all my little tools and kits for the beginning of 2020. And then when COVID hit, I was like, well, I'm just sitting in the house now. So all the money that I used to spend going out or used to spend shopping, I'm like, I wear pajamas all day. But
Yeah,
it's been on the top of my
yeah.
list of something to really get educated about, because I feel like, we see money coming in and we don't even know where it's going or how it's being allocated. And I remember also, what is it that you're supposed to save like 10% of your income, like straight to savings?
Yeah, pay yourself
Yeah.
first.
Pay yourself first. And that's like, I always pay everybody else first, me last, always spending money on stuff that like I don't really need, but you know what I mean? Like, and it's been really interesting now
Yeah.
with COVID to see how much money has actually been saved not going out. But it made me realize that I'm making more money than I think I'm making because I'm not spending as much. And the idea for me was to like figure out where I was spending. And I think that that's really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know for me, my the thing that I'm spending a lot on was the fast food, eating out. When you've gone grocery shopping, you have your groceries for the next 2 weeks. Why are you going to this fast food restaurant when you
Mhm.
have that at home? So just being
Mhm.
more mindful about where your spending is going.
Mhm.
um, that is something that's very powerful. And then you mentioned our debt payoff. People think, for example, student loans, you're never going to be able to pay that off, but if you put that into our system and you keep track of it, we do have clients that have been able to pay off their student loan debt. And then also with their mortgages, they get like a 30-year um, mortgage loan.
Mhm.
When they calculate it with us, they're able to pay that off in half the time. So they
Mhm.
definitely have to be on top of their finances, not miss any payments and things like that. But it's very doable with our program and our system that we
That's so rad. I love it. And I feel like these services, um, when I was growing up, or even when I was in college, I don't really remember these services being something that were promoted in the Black community. Like, I didn't learn how to use credit cards, so I literally was like, I'm not putting myself in debt. Like the only debt I have is student loans, and I'm really grateful for that. But also, it caused a lot of issues down the line, trying to get a car, trying to prove to renters that I'm a good renter, my credit score and that
have.
kind of thing. But there just wasn't a place where I felt like I was going to learn what I needed to learn as a Black woman, as someone who's part of the Black community. Um, and so I feel like this is so important. Well, actually, I'm going to turn it to you. Why was it important for you to kind of step into the Black community and say, like, hey, this needs to be taught to everybody?
Yeah, I would always, as soon as I turned 18, got to college, I remember mentioning, I want a credit card. I want a credit card. And my mom was always like, no. So my answer is, well, why not? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not explained to you, why, or if you do, then this is what you need to do to not max it out. So it's not communicated, in my opinion, well enough. And so maybe it's just our parents or grandparents didn't know about it. You get your first credit card, you go shopping, you max it out, and you're just like, oh, okay, I don't have to pay it back.
Yeah, right. Bye,
But
money.
exactly. So I didn't get my first credit card till about 7 years ago when I had my daughter and I was out on unemployment actually, and needed some extra funds, and
Hmm.
you got approved for a $300 limit, and I'm like, in case of an emergency, that's not a lot.
Right.
um and because I didn't have any credit history, from 18 till then, it that was all that I could get, and I just had to use it, but also be mindful about my spending. So now you have to know, when whatever credit limit that you have, you need to keep your utilization under 30%. You don't want
Yeah.
to max it out and show that you're living off of your credit cards. So,
Hmm.
and that's something that my mom didn't communicate to me.
Yeah.
So whether she knew it or not, she just would always say, you don't need it, don't get it, don't get it. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
well, why
That's,
not?
yeah, that's kind of the message I got too. It was like, it's nothing but trouble. Don't do that. And I
Yeah,
think that that's where the literacy part comes into it, right? How is the system
absolutely.
set up to actually help you? I think that many of our generations past have been jaded by not knowing how to use the system, or
Hmm.
using it and using it incorrectly. And then what got passed down to us was like, that's a big headache. That's a big problem. It's going to put you in more trouble than it's worth. And that's where I landed. And right now I have I don't know, like it's a secured credit card. So
Uh-huh.
like I pay into
Uh-huh.
it and I pay out of it. And I've just been trying to use that for the last couple of years to like build up something. But I also still have these nerves about getting a credit card, or, my credit score is not bad. It only has my student loans on it. So it's not like anything, but at the same time, it's a little nerve wracking still for me as an adult living my own life, because of the misunderstanding. I can't even say misunderstanding. It's a lack of understanding of how the system works, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so while we're on this topic of, I kind of want to talk, and maybe you do and maybe you don't know, but I wanted to just ask you, do you see any, like, in your company, racial disparities between people like white people that come in and then Black people that come in, and the kinds of things that may tend to like take down a Black family financially compared to what is happening with a white family financially?
As far as the clients that come on board, you're saying?
Yeah, or the people that you work with, or even in like your circle, like what you've witnessed.
To be honest, so we're all independent contractors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get together once a year for our convention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like there's a lot more African Americans in the company,
Mm-hmm.
which was mind opening when I attended my first convention in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I kind of belonged somewhere. You know what I mean? I felt like I was in the right place at the right time. Got to see, a lot of faces that looked like me. And it was just, a handful of Caucasians sprinkled in there,
Yeah.
which I just saw that as, positives because it's
Yeah.
always so reversed. Everywhere we go, it's always so reversed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying it as well, since I've been an entrepreneur for 5 or 6 years, and kind of watching this. It's not just about making money anymore. I've loved watching the Black community and communities of color. Yes, I want income, I want profit, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I've witnessed with my own eyes in all the industries that I'm in, this idea that's like, it's not just about making money anymore. It's not about bling. It's not about what you have to show. It's also about how you invest, how you give back to the communities that you're in. How do you take the money that you're using and put it towards great things for your business, for your family? And watching that education pop up in our community has been super cool.
Yeah, and one thing to highlight with us, before COVID, we were actually going out into the schools teaching the matters of personal finance. So
Yes.
it was a 6 to 8 week course that the students had to go through. We have the curriculum developed, give it over to the teacher, they go through that, and then the students get a certificate afterwards. So that is something that I love. And we were doing that for the fifth through ninth graders. So and thinking back, fifth through ninth grade, that's not something that we talked about at all. I remember home ec. I could sew a pillow and make you an omelet, but
It's so
as far as
funny
like
whenever.
finances, no.
No, like balancing a checkbook or doing your taxes. I remember the Pythagorean theorem, but you asked me to do my own taxes and I'm like, it's
Or
just
even
like,
to fill out a W-2, like we have that struggle, as adults, like, well, what do you put here? And
yeah.
HR is like, oh, it's whatever you want. I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, man, I
So
wish.
yeah, and I love that we, were able to do that, go out into the schools and just educate them and change that mindset from early on, be more mindful about our spending and finances and things like that.
Yeah.
And that also ties into our scholarship foundation that we have, giving that out to high school seniors and college freshmen. They have to write an essay on the matters of personal finance, and then they're rewarded, a scholarship. So something that I never, applying for colleges, never, and like looking for scholarships, nothing like that ever came across my plate.
Mm-mm. Yes, that's so awesome. And I think that me included, and most of the Black students that I knew, a lot of our scholarships came from sports. I was an athlete, and I think that a lot of people do look for money in the places of athletics. And I just think it's so great to be able to say, hey, here's a different route of finding money for your education. And not only that, but getting an education that like the generations before you didn't get because it wasn't offered to them. So
Yeah.
wonderful. And it all really does start in the schools. And I've asked myself over and over and over why we aren't including these types of things as regular curriculum. I do think that from the families that I have known that are not families of color, or not Black families, that's all stuff that gets like learned in the house, right? It gets passed
Mm-hmm.
down from like grandpa taught dad, and then dad teaches you, and it like keeps going down. But when there's no education for it at the top, like how does it get down to the people that need it now? So being able to offer that as an assist is so awesome. And while we're talking about the idea of passing down this information from family, I want to talk a little bit about generational wealth and how how it's very different in Black communities. You know, inheritances and like money saving isn't really a concept that's been largely adopted based on people needing the money that they make. So how is that something that you teach and talk about? Is there like this idea that like you know, generational wealth is something that's gonna be passed on, and then you teach people how to do that? Or is it something that's just kind of like taught while you're teaching the other things in your program?
I think it's something that's kind of taught, within our program. Just
Mm-hmm.
people just need to have that mindset that they can have and develop, generational wealth. Other cultures, they have, like you mentioned, land, property, assets, things like that, that they do pass down.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like with us, there's such a disconnect where we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually talking last night. Some family members in my family, when I was younger, owned property. They had apartment complexes,
Mm-hmm.
and then once I went to high school, they sold them. And I'm like, as an adult, I'm like, that would have been perfect to just still have in the family. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. So I know for me, that's like a goal that I have, is to be able to purchase, different duplexes, triplexes, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to keep it in the family to pass down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about the mindset. Like I don't really know what happened. I'm a teenager. I can't speak up, hey, wait, save it for me. You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean? But
I'm right here,
I
I got
just
you.
right. Just let me get 18. So I just wish that it was something that in the family could have, stayed,
Mm-hmm.
maybe across the cousins, something like that, just so it was my actual great grandmother's. So just wish it was something that could have stayed in the family, to be like, okay, my great grandmother, my grandfather, they have this, been able to pass it down. I just think that's something that Black, people should know that we can have.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And my great grandfather, my mother's side of the family is white, but he actually did that. He had property. He was really big into real estate. And I didn't really understand any of that growing up because I missed it. But then like the more I started learning about it and realizing that, going back to when
Mm.
Black people were allowed to own property in this country, and how it wasn't really distributed the way it was supposed to when slavery ended, that it really put us behind the pack for many generations. But I feel like there's a big shift. There's a huge turning that's happening right now where people are becoming more educated on money isn't just dollar bills in the bank. It is property, it's assets, it's investing, it's what you put your money into business wise, where you help fund, what do they call it? Funding other companies or something like that. And then you get a piece of the company as that profit that does, right? For so long, my idea of
Yeah.
being rich or having money was like the dollar sign in my bank account. And I didn't learn that wasn't true until I was in my mid 20s. And then it was like, oh, so much more to be learned here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like again, it just has to go with who. No one's teaching you that, you know. And so I know for me, it has to come from me. So it's all about me educating myself, just to become more aware, and then be able, I'm the oldest, so I have to be able to share that to my siblings, and then
Yep.
down to our kids and things like that. So I'm super just grateful that this opportunity just kind of fell into my lap.
Yes. And then you're passionate about it. It's been so wonderful to sit here with you, Michanne, and just hear your passion and hear what you're saying is lighting your face up. For those of you listening on the podcast, her face is lit and I love it. And we need more women like you in this industry who really do want to get out there and help others. So I want to ask you, like, what is the biggest driving force that you have in helping people enhance their financial literacy all the way around?
I feel like I've been drawn to a lot of single moms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of like where my passion is lying right now, just being able to help the moms just kind of overcome and let them know that they can have it all. You know what I mean? When I talk to people in general, I'm asking you, what are your goals? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself in 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, they're not asked that, so they don't know. And that's something that you kind of sit down and reflect and be able to think about it and actually figure out where you want to be. So my goal is to help as many individuals as I can get their credit right, get their finances together. And a lot of them are saying home ownership, and so I definitely would love to see all of my clients be homeowners, and be able to leave a legacy for their family.
Yes, wonderful. And if you don't mind me asking, what are the financial goals that you have for yourself and your family?
So I'll start from the beginning of this year. My goal was actually to have no more overdraft fees.
Nice.
Because
Nice.
when I say I was paying the bank those overdraft fees every month, it was
Mhm.
bad. So this is December now. I can say that I've had the whole year with no overdraft fees. So I'm so happy. I'm excited.
Good for
Um,
you. So awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So, now for 2021, I definitely am positioning myself to purchase either a home or, like I mentioned, a duplex. That's
Mhm.
definitely my goal. Um, and I think I'm gonna hop into the real estate lake and get
Mhm.
my license.
That's so exciting. Those are such
Yes.
great goals. It's so beautiful to like see you starting from a place that's like, please no overdraft fees, to being like, I'm gonna buy a house. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, you are. Absolutely. Those are beautiful. I was
Yes.
trying to think of what my financial goals were
Thank
when I
you.
first started this year. You're welcome. When I first started this year, and I think that my biggest goal, like I was telling you when I first started, was learning how to budget. And I feel like I've gotten to a place in my life where my money tends to flow pretty consistently. I don't worry as much as I used to. I handle my bills, my debt, and everything. But I really wanted to start saving. And I realized that saving was actually about budgeting, realizing how much money you're spending out and about. And in my head, I was like, well, I'm always okay. But it's like being okay and saving a nice chunk of change are two different things, Ma. Like, you could have a nice little
Yes.
savings, but you're out here, being frivolous at the bar, like all this stuff that you don't need to be doing. So that was my big goal. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't do very well with it because COVID came along and I just kind of hold up. So my goal for this year is to
Yeah.
actually take a look at what it is I am making, what it is I'm saving, and try and make a quarterly goal for myself every year to kind of put something away, but also feel like I'm not depriving myself of the things that make me happy, like, ordering it. Well, I was going to say traveling, but we're not doing that right now. But just like the little things here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually about 3, 4 weeks ago started a money challenge with some of my business partners. So
Mhm.
each week we're depositing, X amount of dollars into our savings account.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna forward that to you. You don't have to wait to the top of the year to start. You can definitely start now. So always start somewhere.
That is so smart. You know what I did last year, instead of trying to calculate it on my own, my credit union has this program that basically for every transaction you use with your card, it takes it rounds up the balance to the next dollar, and it takes that change and it puts it into a saving account for you. And I saved almost $500 in one year. just from that
Oh,
change.
wow.
And I
See,
was
that's not bad.
I like this. And then I put that 500 into like my permanent savings. I actually invested it earlier this year because I was like, it's just like the piggy bank money, right?
Yeah,
But it was
yeah.
really cool. I would love to do your money challenge. Please, please send that to me. And I'm going to check the Book of Faces to see if we have any questions. We don't have any questions today.
Okay.
I loved this chat. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. It's one of those things I think that no matter what age you're in, no matter what stage of life you're in, there's definitely more that can be learned in financial literacy, growing your generational wealth. Always something you can do to get your credit score up. On Instagram and Facebook today, I posted up Michanne's phone number. So if you're having a hard time getting your credit score up, you want to know the next steps, please give her a call so she can help you out. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It was such a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Amber. I definitely appreciate it. I had fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Okay, we're going to close out with Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you for the next episode.